Hello and welcome to the United Stand. What is Jose Mourinho's ideology, his mantra, his typology, his legacy in some ways when it comes to Manchester United? How do we play? What do we as Manchester United fans think when we think about Manchester United under Jose Mourinho? Does he have an identity? We're going to look at today what Manchester United have done more specifically this season. There's no point in going back to last year. It's a new season. And we're well over halfway with it now. So what have we done over the season? Have we seen any hints as to what our identity is going to be? What are the mistakes we're making with the formations we're making? And what are the things we need to do to improve in the future? Now, if we go back to August, this lineup pretty much was the way we were lining up in August. And remember, we started the season very well. Matic was rejuvenated. Pogba looks like he was a better player, not restricted by having a player who was a bit slow up front, and Lukaku with that movement in behind. It was Rashford on the left with Martial impacted off the bench. Mkhitaryan was there. Some would say he was stat padding, but he was doing pretty well. And it was a Jones and Rojo centre-back partnership. And things looked good. We were 4-0 FC. We were doing things right. Why are we not doing that now? What were the differences then? Well, obviously Phil Jones and Bailly were the centre-backs, and that was a strong partnership at that time, up until Stoke, when Phil Jones fell on his bum and we drew the match. But that was a result in it as an individual thing. Daley Blind was playing at left-back, Valencia steady at right-back. Pogba and Matic were working well. Matic looked brilliant for the first few games of the season. Pogba was getting forward and back. He was looking at balls into these areas for Lukaku to get onto. Lukaku couldn't stop scoring. Mkhitaryan in the last few minutes was finding space to slip people in and also score goals himself. Rashford, keeping Martial out of the team, was doing well, and everything was good. But stats don't lie, and we didn't really play anybody of that note. Most of the teams we beat 4-0 are now struggling, and were struggling at the time. But it was a good start from Manchester United, and in relation to the identity, we seemed to be a team that wanted to express itself, that was moving the ball quickly and had players who were tip-top form, hitting the ground running at that time. As I said, Mkhitaryan, Matic was looking far more progressive in his passing than he is now. He was looking forwards instead of sideways. Pogba wanted to move into these positions. Mkhitaryan was willing. I'm making a mess of it, but you know what I mean. Mkhitaryan was willing. He was giving the ball, receiving it. He wasn't putting his head down. Rashford wasn't suffering with confidence. He was direct, and Mata was Mr. Consistent. And this guy, most importantly of all, Romelu Lukaku, was benefiting from those things going on behind him. Obviously, middle of September, we lost Pogba, and with that, we lost a lot of momentum. We went from 4-0 FC to a team that was losing games to Huddersfield, to Chelsea, and we looked bereft of ideas from this area in the midfield. And that line is very important, because instead of going this way, we were suddenly going this way. And teams were figuring out what to do. 2 banks of 4, let United play in front of you. They don't like going down the width. They can't put a decent cross in. And suddenly that middle area makes Manchester United redundant. And we were redundant. We struggled. Pogba came back. And when Pogba came back, things did change a little bit in relation to how Manchester United were playing. Bailly came out of the team. Jones came out of the team because he was injured. Rojo came in. Who else came in? Lindelof came in. Smalling came in. He wasn't wearing black and red. I don't know why he's doing that. Pogba came back. Matic was back. Valencia was there. We had no more Daley Blind in that position. We had a certain Ashley Young, who hopefully I have got somewhere. I have seen him before. Ashley Young. He's definitely here. There he is. Ashley Young. Out you come. In you come there. Ashley Young. Rashford became Martial. And we had no more Mkhitaryan. Lingard came in. And have we got enough players there? Lingard, Lukaku. We've got too many, haven't we? 4, 2, 5, 2, 3. Yeah, 5, 3, 2. And that's the way we were sort of lining up. Lingard was coming far more centrally. Martial was bang on form. Lukaku's form wasn't as good. Pogba was back making an influence. Obviously, Matic, not as good as he was at the start of the season, but we had that progression down this side. I think Ashley Young at this time, especially against Watford with the 2 free kicks, was very progressive. This back 3, and especially Chris Smalling, was more consistent. Rojo got himself back from injury. Smalling was a rock at the back. Lindelof suddenly found some form after a nightmare October. And United were using and moving the ball a lot quicker. We saw it against Watford, and what we saw against Watford and Arsenal away was quick movement. And I think where Manchester United struggle, well, we'll come to that in a moment, but what United were doing is they were getting the ball, thanks to Lindelof. He could hit a longer ball. Smalling was giving it in here. Rojo was giving it in here. And these two were, again, passing the ball forward. And United were getting it into Lingard, getting it into Martial, who with their speed were getting at teams before they could set those two banks of four. And that was benefiting Manchester United. And if you remember the Watford game, we did that perfectly. Lingard killing it off even though we let them 4-2, scored that late goal. And against Arsenal, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of shots at David De Gea, but it was like a brick wall. Nothing was getting through. And then on the break, you had people like Pogba breaking into the area for little tap-ins for Lingard. And we killed them on the break. Absolutely perfect performance, away performance. Your goalkeeper and defence play superbly, and you're quick on the break. And that worked up until Man City, where we changed it again. And we lost the Man City game, and then we sort of worked our way through Christmas, limping through games, dropping points into January, where we've sort of gone back to not the 3-5-2 anymore. We've gone back to the 4-2-3-1, as I would call it, where Lingard's playing there. Martial, I think I would keep him in there, yes. Juan Mata's come in. Lindelof's disappeared. Smalling's come in. Rojo disappeared. Phil Jones came in. And it has pretty much been Young, Valencia, Jones, Pogba, Matic, Lingard, Mata. And I'd say pretty much consistently that obviously we've seen players dropped here and there, but that's pretty much the way we've been playing. And we've been picking up results. We picked up results, but the football has been nowhere near as what it was in November or when we were 4-0 FC at the start. And for me, the November time is the most important time for Manchester United's season, because that was the time when we were a long way behind Manchester City, but we set ourselves a target after the November international break that if we do pull in some decent results, we could be within a certain points of Man City when we play them at Old Trafford and give ourselves a chance. And we did. We beat Newcastle, we beat Watford and Arsenal away, which was very impressive, and we blew it against Man City. But that's the best football we've played. With the 3-5-2, I think that is the best formation I saw on the summer tour last year. We saw it away, I think in Moscow, where we had Martial and Lukaku up front. And we saw it throughout November. The 3-5-2 worked fantastically well with that Smalling, Rojo, Lindelof. But most importantly, it's the mentality of the team. It's the identity that I started off with at the start. What are Manchester United doing a lot of at the moment? We are getting into these situations, but we are moving the ball side to side. That's what we're doing a hell of a lot of at the moment. And that seems to be our identity. Unless we can get a quick ball into Lingard, and Lingard can spin and run at a defence that's stretched, I like it. But when you're playing against a team like Spurs or a team like Chelsea or a decent team, Lingard's just spinning into a brick wall. What Lingard can't do is when he's in this position and everybody else is bombing on ahead of him, and there are that two banks of four, what Lingard's unable to do is slip a little pass in to get Lukaku, or slip a pass and go. He's not that sort of player. Lingard is a very fast player, and he likes to play in space. And against the lesser teams, it works really well. And later on in games, when the game's stretched, it works really well. But what about the situations where teams look at Manchester United and go, hold on a minute, they're second in the league. If we set ourselves up correctly, they won't break through. And that's where United are struggling at the moment. Too many side-to-side passes. Not enough movement for Lukaku to be spinning or getting the ball into that box from the width. And whilst Valencia and Young are willing, or sure at the moment, there's too many players in front of us and we're not moving the ball quick enough from here to here and from here to here. By the time we do it, and I've seen United do it countless times, if Mata gets it in this position, instead of running at a back two with three people, the sideway pass will come in, and then suddenly there's another row of defenders in there, and it's a brick wall to get through. And eventually we are breaking through teams, but it's not been particularly pretty to watch. So what do Manchester United do going forward for the rest of this season, and what do they do in relation to next season? Well, obviously, we do have a certain player called Alexis Sanchez, who at the moment is coming into that position, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but what Sanchez wants to do, much like Lingard, but to a much different level, when he gets the ball, he wants to go there. He wants to go forward, and he'll knock it into Lukaku, or he'll run himself. And with Pogba back, I think Pogba wants to do that a lot more. Matic seems static, but you know, if Matic wants to run that part, that's okay. I think United, what we need to do is move the ball quicker from the back to the midfield and to the attack. And if Lingard's going to play, he loves to run at defenders. Lukaku wants to get into there. Sanchez wants to run at people. this is why Mata needs to come out of this team for me. Mata needs to come out of the team. I like Mata, but Mata needs to come out of the team and Martial needs to come in, and those two need to swap. Because if we do get the ball quick from back to front, these three players here want to run into that space. They want to be direct. Lukaku wants the ball in here, or he wants it in there for him to spin and get into. What Mata does a lot of is he'll get it, he'll retain possession, but he'll pass it here, he'll pass it here. If we're not going to play Mata there for the little intricate passing, then we need to be more direct. And the ball needs to be moving far, far quicker. So Pogba will be happy to do it. Matic needs to do it a lot more. And that, for me, is how we achieve things for the rest of the season. I think we'll comfortably finish in the top four. But in the FA Cup and the Champions League, we need to hurt teams. We're getting 2 banks of 4, too obvious, too easy to play against because we don't move the ball quick enough. And that's United's identity for me at the moment. We don't move the ball quick enough. What we do next season, if we believe Mourinho that he's not going to sign another attacker, then I don't think Jesse Lingard is the man to play as a number 10. He hasn't got that intricacy about him. In fact, I'd be so passionate about it that I would put Jesse Lingard out here. Sanchez is obviously going to play, and I don't want to do this, but effectively, all right, I'll drop Lingard because ultimately Lingard should be a backup right-hand side player next year, and that should be our front three. That's how we should be going. What we need to do is, and I'm not even going to give him a name, they can just be player 21 needs to come in here, Pogba needs to go here, and Matic goes there. And that suddenly solves Manchester United problem. Because if this player here is a Seri or a Milankovic-Savic, somebody with offensive attitudes as well as defensive, like Pogba, that typical box-to-box, but they do their most damage in these areas, that's what Manchester United do. Leave Matic to stay there. Leave Matic to patrol that area. Leave him just to play the simple pass into those two and let these players have the ball as quick as possible so that they can feed Sanchez, Martial, who can interchange throughout the game, and also be looking at these balls in for Lukaku. What United need in these positions here is speed. Speed of movement, speed of mind, and intricacy. And these players here, not me, don't know why I'm over there, these players here, they need to be getting the ball from these areas as quick as possible to these players to express and move those players. And that's as simple as it is. I've been thinking about this over the last few days. A lot of you lot have been saying 4-3-3. I've been on about a number 10. But in this formation, you don't need a number 10 there. You don't need one. We don't need one. Because these two players can cut in and swap. He's just going to hold that line. Look, if you've got Zlatan in this team, we're up here. That's the great thing about Lukaku. If he'll play on the line, and if you want to put a ball in behind, I'll be onto it quick and powerful. And that creates the space in here for these two players and also these two players. And let Matic, or bring Fabinho in to help Matic and share the role, let him do that. And let's not forget these positions. I still think United are terrible down the flanks. Young and Valencia or Shaw, they want to get forward and they can supplement what we're trying to do. But a lot of what Manchester United do is down the middle with Mourinho. And the middle is too slow. It's too much of this side-to-side pass or backward pass from Mata and not enough of get these players going. Get them going before these teams get set with their 2 banks of 4. And it's as simple as that. So get commenting below. Give us your thoughts on what you think Manchester United need to do in the summer, how you foresee us doing for the rest of the season, and the thoughts on what I've gone through there. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think there's another problem with United? But for me, in a sentence, our issue at the moment is our identity has become a bit static, and that allows the opposition to set themselves, which means it's very difficult to break through. It doesn't suit a Lingard spinning if we're not going to stretch teams. It doesn't suit a Sanchez and a Martial if they're not going to get the ball quick enough that by the time they get the ball, they've got 3 or 4 players on them. And that's because the defence and the midfield are not moving the ball quick enough from back to front. It's as simple as that. We can change it very easy, and I think we will do it in the summer. But we need to be a little bit better about it between now and the end of the season as well. It's not a disaster. It's not a criticism video, because when I look back, and we looked back, didn't we? When we were 4-0 FC, it worked. I think Matic, whether he's carrying an injury or not, has been a problem because he isn't moving the ball from as quick from back to front as he was at the start of the season. But I think the golden period, and there still could be another golden period in this season for us because we're only in February, was November. When we played that 3-5-2, it worked really well. But I think this is the way forward. I think this is the way forward. I'd like to see us use 3-5-2. I think it's been our best formation. But how do you play a 3-5-2? Because you're going to have two up front. It's going to be Lukaku and Sanchez. Where does Martial fit in? Would you play him in behind with Matic and Pogba behind? I don't know. I think if you want to play Martial and Sanchez in the same team, that's where they play and they interchange. Lukaku's always going to play there. Pogba with another attacker and Matic, and let's move the ball forward a lot quicker. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this type of video, do drop us a like and do get commenting below, because ultimately you're the ones who've persuaded me about a 4-3-3, and I'm glad I've been able to visualise it. So get commenting, give us your thoughts, drop a like and we can do more of these. I'll speak to you all soon, 8 o'clock tonight live if you want to join me. Thanks for watching.